Hello and welcome to another episode of Improperly Packaged, a show where we unbox topics related to movies, TV, games, whatever. I'm Jordan. With me is Luke. How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing well, sir.
Oh,
Welcome to
good.
the show, everyone.
Everyone wish Luke a happy birthday. His birthday is this week. He's
Indeed.
finally a man.
Thank you.
I,
Finally, man.
I don't know.
I'm afraid I've still missed that mark yet again. Another year.
Maybe this time. Someone the other day pointed out in your presence like that your beard is very, very long, like longer than it has been, I think. And I didn't even notice. Like, I guess maybe it's the pop filter kind of that's covering the beard, or I don't know what it is. But oh my God.
Oh!
Is that as long as it's been, do you think?
I think it has.
It's good. It's full.
Yeah, I've struggled with it. I want to grow it out, but my hair is naturally curly.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a bit of like, I don't know what the right word is. Frizz, I guess, would be the word I would say.
Mm-hmm.
That I just, I struggle with it. I see other guys, I'm like, your hair, it sits so straight on your face and flat. That's what I want.
We have a friend,
like, it doesn't matter what I do. It's like it just goes. Yeah.
Our friend Stevie, I feel like his beard is like that. It's like it just it's like so naturally shaped, and
want to salute him and say yes. Well done.
Mine, it's like once it gets to a certain point, it just attacks me. Like it's so thick and curly, it just goes and just like turns on me, and I'm like talking itchiness and grown hairs. It's not a pretty sight, so I don't really. There's a point where I'm just like I can't do it anymore. I wish, but nay.
I'm definitely at a turning point. I have to make a choice, Jordan.
That's what being a man's all about, Luke.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's not really a change. It's just I have chosen not to shave, I guess. That's the choice I've made so far. And I don't know if I regret it or not. I'm somewhere in between.
I mean,
we'll see what happens. Maybe somebody will come through in the night and it'll be gone.
What? The beard fairy.
We'll see. Yeah. Could happen.
She goes.
It definitely won't be me. It'll be somebody else.
Of course. Maybe it will be the same person who pointed out your beard. I don't know. But anyways. All right. So, two grown men talking about a movie with a giant monkey and a giant lizard. That's what being an adult is all about.
Yep. Why we started this show right there.
Yeah.
You just described it.
Pretty much. That's the spirit of the show. I mean, we'll obviously.
Lizards and monkeys. That's what life's about, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're doing this episode. We're going to be reviewing Godzilla versus Kong, baby.
Indeed.
But first,
would you say this is the first blockbuster of the HBO has released? Would you say that of the of the era where it's like comes first to HBO Max along with theaters?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
This is the biggest one.
I think even the numbers bear that out. It's the most viewed on HBO Max, and it kind of blew up the box office in the theaters this week over the weekend. Like biggest opening since the pandemic by a long shot.
I mean, obviously, Wonder Woman was a really big movie.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know. I guess it's just because we didn't like it as much. I guess if that movie was great, I'd be singing a different tune.
I feel like this one, I don't know. I don't know. I think we'll have to ask ourselves if which movie has more broad appeal? Is it a superhero movie, or is it these two classic monsters who've been around for almost 100 years?
Kind of an interesting idea, isn't it? Because how long has Wonder Woman been around? I mean, quite a while, obviously.
That's true, too. Yeah, very
but
much
I still
so.
feel like not as recognizable, especially internationally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Godzilla, I feel like you could ask anyone on Earth, and I think almost everyone you ask would know Godzilla.
Yeah, agreed.
I definitely think fewer people would know Wonder Woman.
And this is it, though. This is their Avengers as well. Like you got your one superhero movie, your one Godzilla movie or Kong movie, but this is their big moment. And so I think it was always going to turn some heads, just being what it is, as being like this big crossover event. And so
you definitely wish you could be in the alternate universe where this came out in theaters just to see, what kind of crowds, what kind of real numbers, when you compare, like, if it had an actual shot at having the same marketplace that Avengers had, that Infinity War had, how would it do? How would it fare? Because I mean, I think obviously it wouldn't do as well, but that being said, how well would it do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think it would do pretty well.
I think so, and just judging by how well it's doing in the world we're in right now, I think it would do pretty well. But we'll get to that in a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about what we've been watching / playing / listening to. We're just gonna talk a little bit about what we've been doing this week. So listening to, I actually do have a band to talk about. I think I've already talked about this band, but I've just been like this week really into this band, digging their stuff. Churches. I'm sure you've heard of Churches, Luke.
Churches.
Yeah. Another one of those who subs out
one of them.
Subs out one of the vowels for various reasons. But yeah, there's not like a new album that dropped or anything like that. I was just, Churches. And I just started listening to a lot of stuff. They have an EP that kind of released recently, but I don't understand. I don't really understand it because it's not like most of the tracks on there are not new. They were on previous albums. I don't really get it. Like Never Say Die and Bury It. I know they're definitely on past albums, and all of those are on past albums. And I guess Death Stranding, the song that they did for the game, was just on a single. So I don't know. I don't really understand why certain bands do what they do. Maybe it's just to be like, hey, we don't have an album this year. Maybe here's this just so people will look at it. New release. So it'll pop up on their new release radar. Maybe I don't really know, but that's possibly. But man, Churches is good. Listening to a few ones.
They sit in a unique space.
Yeah, they do.
In between genres.
Yeah, I can't really put my finger on it. They're a little bit too indie to be pop and a little too pop to be indie, but very good. They're one of those bands, and at some point I'd love to see live, just judging from when I saw them just play at the Video Game Awards. They played the Death Stranding song.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds so good. So, I definitely want to see them. But one song I will recommend, which is really good, she did this is on their album, Every Open Eye Extended Edition. She did one of their songs, Bury It. They did it with... featuring Hayley Williams from Paramore, if there's a throwback for you. And so just good. It makes an already good song just a little bit better, just to have that synergy between them. So it's Churches.
Yeah, I love her voice.
Oh yeah. How about you, man?
So good. So I just stumbled on one of those songs, Release Radar, my favorite playlist of the week. It's a cover of Dreams from Fleetwood, by Chloe Moriondo, I guess. Moriondo. So that's my best guess at how to say her name, but good cover. Chill, kind of. Doesn't really change the song too much, but she's got a good voice for it.
I'm looking it up. Chloe.
She kind of just turns the normal Dreams from what it is into like indie melodic. That would be the best way of me summarizing it. But
sounds like a good playlist or an album. Where did you make that playlist?
Oh, it's there. It's in
indie melodic.
Yep. It's in the covers playlist. So you can start sorting it for me by indie melodic.
You know when you do that the year of or whatever that Spotify does, what is it called? I don't know. Everyone has their version of it
year
now.
Rewind or something like that.
Man, I want to share with you the genres that it came up for me. I do not understand it at all. It's like some ridiculous stuff, like Dreamo,
alt synth, some crazy stuff.
Stuff that I do not myself understand at all. But yeah, some crazy stuff. What do we have here? Hold on. I got it pulled up.
Variegated hardcore strum music.
I mean, what? Yeah. I mean that's what we're talking about here. I'll find it later. But anyways, cool. Let's.
It's like Latin names. It's like what? What is this?
Pretty much. I'll find it one day. But anywho, I think I go for this first this week. I don't remember, but anywho, this week, a movie I checked out a couple nights ago. It's one of those movies I started late at night and like in bed and just kind of watched the whole thing. One of those. It's a Netflix movie called Bad Trip. Bad Trip. I'm not sure if you have you heard of this one, Luke?
Definitely not a drug movie, right?
Actually, no.
Oh, oh, I think maybe.
Oddly enough,
maybe
it's not. This is one of those kind of like prank movies. It's by the creators of Jackass and Bad Grandpa. It is starring Eric Andre. You might know him. He had his own show, very kind of wacky sensibilities there with his style of comedy. And
you guys are like the epitome of potheads, Jordan.
That's odd. That's the odd thing, though, right? There was only one scene of accidental drug use in the movie. So imagine that. And it wasn't pot. So
I always think of pot when I think of those two guys.
Yeah, I know. And then you name your movie Bad Trip. And
they could be like the new Cheech and Chong.
This reminded me of like kind of an alternate version of the most recent Borat movie. So I don't know if I talked about that movie on the podcast with the recent Borat movie. I thought it was okay. There's something about Borat to me. I don't know. It feels a little mean spirited to me, where you're going to go and like, your goal is to make people look terrible and be like, these are either idiots or bigots or just, or, you know, whatever it is.
This is one of the reasons I kind of chose not to watch it. I'm just like, I just don't want to.
It's a little depressing. Yeah, it's something depressing. You feel kind of gross about it. And like,
I don't feel like it's fair to the people, though. That's what I don't like.
I agree. And I feel like it makes the world look really nasty. And I don't know. There's something so mean-spirited about it. It just didn't vibe with me. And also something that the second Borat movie does that it did in the first movie too. It's based on, it kind of follows a story of some point. Of some sort, where it's like we're trying to build a narrative and we're trying to fit these encounters into it. There were some points where I was like, I don't really buy this. And honestly, in that regard, Bad Trip does that so much better, and it leans heavier into it. It's basically the plot of Dumb and Dumber. Like, honestly, it's the plot of Dumb and Dumber for the most part.
Right.
And I think that the way they blend a narrative into these like prank moments, sometimes I'm like, that was genius. And something that it does as well, we just talked about the mean-spiritedness. This is kind of the opposite of that. Like, I feel like this movie does not do that. Obviously, they're embarrassing themselves, and it might be a little bit humiliating for the other people. But most of these people, like for instance, there's a scene where they stage a car accident and they're like getting a fight with each other and like in front of this crowd, and this guy's like trying to like break them up and like get them out of danger. And like something that they do at the end, which I really like, is they show the cut moment. Like during the credits, they show the cut and they come out and they're like, oh my gosh, and they'll congratulate the people who they prank. They're like, you were so nice. Like, you were a hero, man. And like, they do that multiple times, and everyone is just, there's something endearing about this movie. So it's like almost an opposite feeling that I got watching it that I did Borat, when I'm just like, man, this just paints such an ugly world, where it's like most of these people are like trying to help or just bewildered by the situation. None of them are like, let's try to villainize society. That's not the goal of this movie. The goal is to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And they do some really funny stuff and some stuff that I'm like, I can't believe they pulled this off.
Definitely sounds like a better version.
I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some nasty jokes in this movie. Nothing you haven't seen before, I wouldn't say, but it's one in particular involving a gorilla, or really a guy in a gorilla suit. But it is so gross. But yeah, I actually, if you are okay with that sort of thing, like my wife is not okay with that, how dumb I guess it can be, and how kind of gross it can be with some of the gross out humor. So she would not be into it. If you're okay to get past some of that stuff, or you find that some of the stuff funny, I recommend this one, Bad Trip. Luke, I beat a game this week. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
I beat a game.
It's far and few between, isn't it? But
yeah,
it's so much harder to beat games than it is to watch movies. So
I feel like I juggle in a lot. It's taken me a while to get through Resident Evil 2 for some reason, even though it's a short game. In Resident Evil 2 introduced a character called Mr. X. He is adding a level of stress to the game that I did not anticipate. Because I'm blasting zombies, whatever. But when this big, giant, unstoppable juggernaut is just constantly coming for you,
I've heard of this man.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I heard of it too. I saw some of the memes, and I was just like, okay. There was a moment where I was like running away from him, and I was like, okay, I got away from him. I'm in my safe room. It's fine. And then I hear footsteps. I hear boom, 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 and he just comes in the door, and I was like, what? You're not supposed to be in here. And he just freaking comes for me. It was. I yelled, but that's not the game I beat. I'm working my way through it. Ratchet and Clank.
Nice.
2016 remakes.
You're working up to the new one, huh?
Yeah, I'm working up to the new one. I started it way back when, and I was enjoying it, but something distracted me. And you know what? Why? This game is so much fun. This game's short. Not like, not ridiculously short. It's like 12 hours. You know, breezy. And I wanted to check it out. I think it was a great time to do it. They released a PS5 patch for it, which basically removes the FPS lock. And so it's at 60 frames.
Always good.
Yeah, always great. Makes it feel much better. And this is a breezy game. It was just kind of almost we're buying a house, me and my wife, and it comes with some stresses here, some problem solving. This is a great game to decompress too. It's very straightforward. There's not a lot of where the F do I go moments. It's very much like, okay, go over here, blast these guys, and it's very satisfying to blast a bunch of enemies and have all the bolts fly at you, and basically the currency of the game. And yeah, great game. It's one of those things where just as far as the narrative is concerned, is not really much to write home about. Like, the story is pretty straightforward as well, but there's a charm to it because it's pretty funny. And but yeah, it's just a charming, fun game to play. Just fun. That's the thing about it. This is really fun. I'm having a good time. So I beat that, and great. Yeah, I'm ready for Rift Apart, I guess. Even though there's like a weird thing where this movie is kind of like, this game that's based on a movie that's based on the original game. It's not exactly what's leading up to the next game. So
yeah.
Rift Apart is like a sequel to the many Ratchet and Clank games that have come before, not this rebooted kind of game, which it shouldn't be a problem. I can't imagine there's going to be
kind of how a lot of those series, it seems like, do it, right?
Yeah.
Like Banjo, those kind of games, like all that same kind of thing. It's just like, not exactly a sequel, but it's continuing the franchise.
Exactly. I guess they figure it's like, it's like there's not, the plot isn't super heavy to the point where it's like we feel the need to like do anything, like go take it super far back or anything. I'm sure it will almost be like unrecognizable from just being a sequel to this one, because I don't know, I just can't imagine there being that much lore in these games.
Makes it easier to pick up too, if it's not like, oh, you need to get all this backstory or you won't know what you're doing.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to see Ratchet like run into this character and there be some weird like chemistry between them and me being like, wait, who's that? What is this? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I don't want that per se, but I'm ready for it. So yeah, that's what I got. How about you, Luke?
So we just finished the March Madness. So, national champions, Baylor won. Yeah, pretty crazy. Gonzaga was trying to break a record that hadn't been broken since 1974, which was go the entire season undefeated, then go through the tournament undefeated, and then win the championship. And they had an epic game on, what was it, Friday night, that went into overtime, where they made a layup. They were up by 1 point. No, sorry, the other team was up by 1 point. And then with 3 seconds left, Gonzaga went down and shot a 3-point shot from the half court line and won the game. And yeah, for those sports fans, they probably already know what I'm talking about. For the rest of you, probably don't care, but it was a really cool moment in basketball history, just that buzzer beater kind of moment. I think even if you don't like sports, it's just like, wow, that was cool.
I'll say this, like on my Twitter, like I don't follow a lot of sports things at all, so I don't really see
Yeah.
very many sports things, but I've seen Baylor or whatever being said constantly, and I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
And then so you've explained it to me.
So, well, that was, so the game before that was Gonzaga playing, I'm blanking on who it was. UCLA. Yeah. So UCLA was a number 11. This would have been, they've already like broken the record for the farthest a number 11 seed had gone when UCLA played Gonzaga. And so they took them to overtime. It was a great game. Both teams were just really good. And then Gonzaga was the ones who won that game on that half court shot right at the end. And then last night was the national championship against Baylor. So my dad actually said it, and sometimes age comes wisdom, and he was exactly right. What happens so often is, and I've seen it with baseball too, you play a really hard series, or game, on your quest to win whatever championship or national title, and then you get to the final game, by a hair, you barely squeeze in, and then you get creamed in the championship because you gave it all in the last game. And my dad was right. I mean, they only, they played on, I think they played on Saturday, and then they had Sunday off, and then they played last night, Monday night. And it just, you could tell they'd just given it all, and Baylor was just incredible. And Baylor led the entire time. I think they won by like 15. It was sad. I have to be honest, I was kind of cheering for UCLA in the game before that, but then it was kind of cool. I did want Gonzaga to go on and win, and that didn't happen. Anyways, I'll stop talking about sports. It was a cool moment. We didn't get March Madness last year, so it's kind of cool to get it again this year. And there's just a lot of cool drama with college kids. You see a lot of tears shed, a lot of the guys, it's their senior year, and this is the last time they'll ever play. And just there's a lot more interesting things that happen that don't happen in professional sports, because there's almost always another year for those guys. So anyways, a lot of fun. We've been watching American Idol. We've been trying to catch up to the live stuff, and that show just, ever since the Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, I'm blanking on his name, but those three took over
last
as
judges, or
Lionel Richie. Ever since those three took over as judges, it really has felt like a revamping, revitalization of the whole American Idol idea, which obviously is super played out at this point. But they just, I don't know, they brought the fun back to American Idol for us, and it's just kind of been a fun, thing that's live that a lot of times we just end up streaming later on. But it's just been fun. It's been good. It's the personalities of the people come on that obviously keep it interesting. But the judges, unlike Simon, who I feel like was far too often the hammer that slammed down on the heads of these poor young children that were trying to be performers. The judges just, you can really feel they're trying the best they can to encourage, uplift, to inspire these kids to do better, be the most that they can be. Sometimes I think they judge them a little too harshly, because I'm thinking, that person probably has a better voice than all three of you. So I don't think it's really fair what you're saying, but I get it. It's your job. So, you got to critique. But yeah, it's a good show week to week. It has kept us interested for several years now. And it's certainly been interesting over last year and then this year, how they've had to deal with restrictions and social distancing and all that awful stuff. And they're able to do a lot more live shows now, and you can just see the change. It's amazing to me what they've been able to get away with, in Los Angeles, which was probably one of the most shut down places in the country. But cool that they've been able to let people come in, and they've actually, this year they got to have a period in which there were actually people in, like, whatever, I think it was the Dolby Theater in downtown LA, and they're all sitting all over the auditorium, like super spaced out, but they're still like, it's like Katy Perry actually said it in one episode, this is probably the only place in the country right now where you can hear live music, and that's awesome.
Wow.
So yeah, it's cool to see people performing. They had they had the solos and they had the duets, and then they had this showstopper thing. But yeah, really cool. Didn't realize I was going to talk about it for that long.
No.
So I think a new thing I'm going to start doing, because as we said, YouTube is honestly just as prominent as Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime is. And I find a lot of entertainment YouTube is honestly just kind of in my rotation of things that I'll just click on and go through and just watch stuff. And it's funny, you know this, and probably everyone listening to, but I just like talking about it. It's amazing where YouTube lives in this interesting spot, where they're not shows, but they kind of are shows. It's
in a way, yeah.
Yeah, like this guy I'm going to talk about. Like, each of his videos is usually somewhere between, maybe shortest one being maybe 7 minutes, longest one being maybe 15 minutes. So they're not long. They're shorter than most episodes of any TV show. Maybe Robot Chicken would be the only show that's that short. But yeah, it just sits in this interesting place where there's you get educated in that tiny amount of time about cooking, in this case.
Yeah.
And you just are like, wow, I learned a lot. I had a good time. And he just has a warm presence. His name is Sam, the cooking guy. And he just makes just the craziest stuff. It's so cool. He picks out this crazy stuff, and kind of like Alvin Zhao that we were talking about. He has and he's nothing like Alvin Zhao, really. He's completely different, but
has his style.
He has a very interesting way. It's actually his entire team. I think he's got 3 or 4 guys that work with him. But they have an interesting way of making it fun, feel, loose, but also it looks super professional. The camera quality is really good. Yeah. Obviously, that's kind of given nowadays, because cameras are they're so cheap now that you can buy a camera that does 4K. I mean, your phone looks amazing. So yeah, it shows sometimes it shows behind the scenes of some of the guys filming, and they have camera jibs and all this, and they have boom mics, and they've done a great job. But anyways, all that being said, Sam, the cooking guy, he's just got some really cool things. He came out with the mashed potato chip thing that you've probably seen on the internet. But he's got a lot of stuff. One of my favorite things that I've watched of what he does, and I don't know, I like them all, so that's hard to say. But he'll take something like the Burger King original chicken sandwich, and he tries to do it in a nice way, but he kind of breaks down the reasons that the sandwich is not as good as it could be. The reasons where it's just Burger King's obviously cutting corners here, and this is the way it would be properly made in a chef's kitchen. And if you want to make this at home, this is the way to do it. And he tries to stick, right to what Burger King's trying to accomplish. He bakes his own bread. He puts his own toasted sesame seeds on top, so it looks just like the Burger King chicken sandwich. He chops up his meat, so it's not like a chicken breast fillet, but actually processed chicken, breaded and then put together and cooked with breadcrumbs. So he sticks to the original recipe, as far as he could tell, obviously, without having some Burger King secrets. I don't know if there are those, but
the pink sludge.
It's not like Coke recipe or something, but yeah, it's cool, and it makes me want to do all these things. I never really do, but I think some of these times I will use them to maybe there's one mac and cheese recipe that I just have to try. He's got this southern baked mac and cheese where he gets this crispy crust on top, and he puts a significant amount of bacon, but also bacon grease into it as the lubrication in cooking the noodles, and then he obviously bakes it at the end, and oh man, it made me want some mac and cheese.
Hey, look this up. That's good.
He obviously went overboard on the cheesiness, like you always do with these ridiculous mac and cheese recipes, and it just it makes you want to do these things. And he also does fun things I think he reached 2 million, I think it was 2 million subscribers. And so he did a 10, I think it was it 10 pound Yeah, 10-pound cheeseburger challenge where he did 4 2-pound. I think it was.
Oh my god.
No, maybe it's 20. I think it was 20-pound burger. I'm trying to. He has so many videos. I'm like scrolling through trying to find the right ones. But it's funny. Like the YouTube algorithm will surface stuff from like months ago that he did. That it's just like you'd probably like this.
Yeah.
And inevitably, I'm like, you're right, YouTube.
Freaking YouTube, you're right.
I hate you for it, but you're right. But yeah, he does these like. Okay, it's a 20-pound burger, so it's 4 5-pound. So the patties are like literally like bigger than my face, and he like struggles to grill them at first, and then he ends up doing it on like the flat skillet. Yeah, it's cool. He humanizes it. He talks to his guys backstage, and he's got a good like dynamic, and it's just. Yeah, he could host a late night show. Honestly,
let's get him on the podcast. Yeah,
it's just friendly and warm, and yeah, and he makes amazing food. Like every one of these things, I dare you to watch a single one of these recipes and not want to eat that. It's not possible. Sorry, it's not possible.
I need to check it out. You sent me one of the videos. I need to watch a few of them because these look great.
He did the KFC chicken and donut sandwich, Jordan.
Oh my god.
Almost a year ago he did that, so he's a wild man.
Yeah, look, he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check
so
this out
good.
for sure. Oof.
Chick-fil-A pizza, what is happening?
I don't know. All right, you ready, man? You ready to do this?
Nope. There's no way to be ready.
No,
this movie's too big.
Too big IMAX screens. I don't know. 4D, if only, man. I wish I could see this movie on a big screen.
Yeah, it would have been a really good one for that.
But I might have an argument against this, and so I want to talk about it. But first, let's real quick, let's do a rough kind of run through of the other movies, just quickly what we thought of them. Luke, what did you think about we talked about it a little bit, but you liked the Godzilla 2014 version?
I did, yeah. But honestly, it's probably been since 2014 I watched that in theaters. So
yeah.
There's only so much I really remember about that movie, but
it's been a long time.
I remember enjoying, I believe, the stuff that you mentioned last week. Just the way, the style it was filmed in, it just felt so much more artistic than than Godzilla movies and monster movies had been before. Was it 2001 when that Godzilla came out? One where he attacks New York?
1998. Godzilla, Roland Emmerich.
That movie I've always got like really fond memories of. I think it was probably because I was so young.
We were the right age.
Now I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, but man, I just remember coming away from that movie like so excited about Godzilla, and that like cliffhanger ending. I had so much hope for what was to come.
There's babies.
Obviously that never really came to, but it just, I don't know. It was exciting. There was something about that. Just like you said, it was just probably an age thing, but ever since then, it gave me this excitement that there's gonna be this Godzilla movie that's gonna blow your mind. Like just the idea of Godzilla ripping through New York or Hong Kong or Shanghai or whatever city. San Francisco. It always excited me, and so for me, that when I saw that that the 2014 one was coming out, I was excited. I was really excited for that, and then I saw it. I do always feel like you do have to quantify. With all these, it's a monster movie. I mean, we're here to see Godzilla like go crazy and people be scared, and the stories. It's always going to be a janky skeleton holding this thing together. I mean, it's a movie about a monster. It's like, no matter what you do in the background, it's not going to have anything to do with canonical Godzilla, whatever the crap that is. I don't know my kaiju enough to know what that is, but it seems like everyone is just like, let's get a guy, let's get a girl, let's get some kids, and this will happen, and somebody will lose their job, or somebody will have to sneak around, and some business is doing some crazy thing, and that's kind of what all these movies have ended up being about. And, you know, I mean, each one is obviously of varying quality, how well that backstory is. But the thing I liked about 2014 is just it felt like a well made, like, I think you know what I mean when I say well made. It's like it the monster part of it, like the filming of it, you know, the visually it was well made. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
story, you know, obviously lacking.
Godzilla, I talked about that one a lot a week ago, so I'll kind of say, yeah, I liked it. It's, you know, for coming out of it, I didn't like it so much, like really at all. But at the rewatch, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was amazing, but I liked it for what it was. Good, good disaster movie, I think is what I came out with it. The second one that came out was Kong Skull Island.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Well, what's your thoughts? Why don't you go first?
You know, I love this movie. I mean, okay. All right. I'm going to dial it back a little bit. Godzilla Skull Island, I think it's just great. I think it's awesome. Like, I don't know. I think it's just, as far as like when people say this is just a blockbuster good time, I feel like that's rarely reached. I feel like when people say that and you go to it and it ends up being like Transformers Dark of the Moon or something, this I feel like fulfills that. I feel like this is that. This is just a blockbuster good time. The characters are stock, but have just enough charm and personality to where you kind of like them a little bit. And there's just a lot of great monster battles, a lot of moments that stand out. And wow, what a good looking movie. I think it just looks great. Like, I think like the way they did this 60s kind of Vietnam style, over the top shots, I think are just really great. This is one scene where, I laugh when I see it, but at the same time, I'm like, that's awesome. Where Kong like slams his fist on the ground, fire shoots up, and Sam Jackson standing on the other side, and they're staring each other down. I'm laughing. But it's also incredible. It's so over the top, but so amazing to look at. And that's a lot of this movie. And, you know, John C. Reilly, great. He's great in that movie. He adds a lot of charm and heart to the movie, and he's hilarious. I really like Kong Skull Island.
I don't know why I didn't enjoy the Kong movies as much for some reason. It certainly brings joy to my heart to hear how much you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I probably would need to go back and watch it again. I can't remember enough to be specifically critical of that movie, but I don't know. I remember coming away with it just not enjoying it as much for some reason. But
the funny thing is, out of all these movies, this is the one I said no to. When I saw the trailer, I said no. Why are we doing this? Another Kong, really? You know, and then
you loved it.
It's the only one I didn't see in theaters. I mean, obviously, other than this one because of the times, but yeah. And then I ended up liking it probably the most, which I did not expect me to have that sort of answer. But you saw Godzilla King of Monsters relatively recently.
Mm-hmm. I rewatched, yeah. I had to do it in like 2 parts. I think I fell asleep at one point, but yeah, rewatched. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I like the 2014 one better, but I guess, you know, on paper you would think that movie would just be so much better because it's like, if you want to see monsters going crazy, this is the movie for you. And it was. I guess it felt just too jam-packed with monster battles to where I guess each one became a little less significant for me as the movie went on. It was like there were too many times that like Monster Zero came and was like battling Godzilla, and it just, I don't know. The Mothra thing, it was like, it was really cool. I don't know why it just didn't work as well for me. I can't really put my finger down on it, but it was a good movie. I mean, you know, for some reason it didn't work as well for me, but I don't know. I guess I like my Godzilla movies a little more narrow in scope and have a little bit more mystery about his attacks. And certainly King of Monsters was just like Here we go.
Let's get
So
ready to. Yeah, a lot of
it
that.
was kind of like in the way like the Matrix like built up Neo in the first movie.
Yeah.
And then in like Reloaded, it was just like Neo like fighting a zillion Agent
Ramped it up
Smiths.
quite a
And it's
bit.
just like, yeah, Burly Brawl. It's like basically King of Monsters was like it was like Neo's Burly Brawl, but like the whole movie was just Burly Brawl. And yeah, like I said, on paper it sounds really cool, but I don't know. It just didn't enjoy it as much. But I mean, it's a good movie. It's a good monster movie. You know, it's solid.
I like this one. I think I liked it more the second time I saw it in theaters. I have something to say in that regard, but I'm going to save it towards the end of our review because I think it almost informs this next one too and my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But I do like it. I find the monster battles fun. Some of the shots are just really cool. Like I love seeing like something so big, like these big things shot so wide from this like wide angle. It's really cool. And they're making these really iconic poses. It's gorgeous. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a few more things I want to say about it, but I'm going to save it till we kind of start talk about this series as a whole and talk about Godzilla versus Kong. Let's get into this. Isn't it crazy that we made it here? So many have tried the shared universe. We've got the freaking monster.
Just the idea of a shared universe, right? Like,
yeah,
we've talked about it. There's not a lot of people who've like finished their vision. There's a lot of companies that have tried to do it. Mm-hmm. Marvel's one of the few that has.
Yeah, we got, obviously one of the most momentous failures was Universal with their Universal monster universe, and I guess here we go with another monsterverse that actually made it to their finish line.
Yep.
And that's hats off to them. Regardless of what we say about this movie, hats off to the fact that they freaking did it. They committed and they did it. And I didn't think they would at the beginning, but
I mean, we just went over all the movies except this one, and we just said, I mean, it's solid. It's at least like a 6 or a 7 on every movie. I'd say none of them are just terrible movies. None of them are even close to that. So,
agreed.
Yeah, a lot of great accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did it. Regardless, they did it. Well done, Warner Brothers, Legendary Pictures. Good job. You did it. You made it. That's made really cool.
Good entertainment.
Yeah. So Godzilla, King of Monsters, the Monster Avengers kind of deal. Let's get into it. Luke, we'll do a little non-spoilers, I guess. There's not much. I guess there's some stuff to spoil. Yeah, there's some stuff to spoil. Go ahead. What did you think of Godzilla versus Kong? I always keep like hesitating, like because Batman v Superman ruined the versus thing for me. I keep wanting to say Godzilla v Kong. Nope, that's not right. All right. What'd you think?
I really enjoyed this movie. There was a lot about this movie that I didn't think would work for me, and it did. I feel like you always have to qualify it by just being like, okay, monster movie. Remember, it's a monster movie. It's it's not going up against Citizen Kane. Yeah. So like, don't it almost, those two things should be in two different universes because they're trying to accomplish two different goals. And in this, you want to see destruction and you want to see monsters doing what monsters do. And as much as I just complained about like what happened in King of Monsters, for some reason this worked better for me. It may have been that more focus was on Kong, and so that humanized it. And I don't know. There's definitely things I'm going to complain about this movie, but overall, it definitely worked for me.
Yeah, I think I'm sharing the same attitude as you. I liked this one. I think it works. It definitely works. Like at the end of the movie, I'm like, again, they did it. They made a movie, then they built to this, and they did this movie, and it definitely did not suck. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to see, and I saw it, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely some quibbles here and there. And you know what? I think down the line, those quibbles will kind of diminish, and I want to get into that a little bit, but I hate to keep teasing that. But yeah, yeah, good stuff. I agree with you. I think the fact that this is more or less a Kong-focused movie. I mean, Kong is the one who has a bit of a personality. He has goals. He has some kind of clear goals, and he has a bond with a character. And so there's a lot. That's the right choice. That's the correct
Yeah,
decision.
I mean they had to do that because it's the most human-like character.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no way they could humanize Godzilla like they could Kong. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of an obvious choice.
Yeah, Kong is an ape, and also that with that comes expression.
A lot more
Whereas,
intelligence too.
and yeah, expression, intelligence, and with Kong, you really just get like he's either tired or he's mad. So that's your range of emotion when it comes to Kong. I mean, to Godzilla generally. So that was the right choice to kind of make Kong the main character, more or less, of this movie. And so yeah, let's we both like it. Let's kind of talk about spoilers. And with this, I was looking forward to this because there's some stuff that I'd like to kind of parse out with you as far as like making some sense of it for me. Not that this plot is really complicated at all, really. I mean, I think King of Monsters was probably a lot more complicated as far as what was going on, but this one, there's just a few things I'm like, so yeah, I just have a few. I have a few questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, okay, so
right off the bat, the attack in what was it, Pensacola? It was like what?
Yeah,
they didn't really explain that. I thought it was a fine film thing, but it was like what?
Yeah, so Godzilla.
It seems like I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
You're not. I'm sorry. I'm kind of. This is one of those things. This isn't like we're our Tenet review that I'm like super confused and we're both confused.
Now hold on. How does the time space continuum work?
Yeah, it's not that where we're a couple idiots trying to like talk about quantum physics.
Who's doing what and why? It's like those kind of things.
Yeah, motivations. A lot of it comes down to why is Godzilla doing what he's doing. And even by the end of the movie, I'm not sure I have a full handle on that. I mean, okay, I feel
it's the plague of most monster movies. I feel like is what we're going to complain about this movie. It's hard to justify why large monsters are doing things because they can't explain themselves. And so humans have to have some kind of assessment of, well, obviously Godzilla's doing it for these reasons, and there's these historic reasons that go back hundreds of years.
Yeah, we have the characters every now and then go, oh, that's why he's doing. But I'm still sitting here like, wait, what? A little bit. So we'll get into it. There's a lot of humans in this movie, because there's but it's broken down really simple. There's Team Kong and Team Godzilla. So for Team Kong, we have, Alexander Skarsgård. I'm going to look up the cast list because I completely forgot the names of these people. We have Alexander Skarsgård and Rebecca Hall and a few others on Team Kong. And then on the other one, we have Brian Terry Henry and Millie Bobby Brown. And I did not know he was in this. That Julian Dennison, he's, that guy. He was in Deadpool 2 and Hunt for the Wilder People.
He hit me out of nowhere too. I was like, cool.
Oh, you're in this. How about that? Cool. So yeah, they kind of split off into two team. They kind of did this sort of thing in the Defenders, where you see the normal people from the different shows kind of split off into their camps, and it's a classic crossover thing. Except with the Kong team, there's no returning characters. That's the hard thing because Kong takes place in the '60s. There's not really many characters who can return and be recognizable, or I don't know if you want to put Tom Hiddleston in old age makeup or anything like that.
Yeah, but that works so well in that movie, so you like it, but also it's kind of like, was that the best choice if you wanted a shared universe?
Yeah, I know.
Probably not.
Exactly.
But also maybe they were trying to save money by not having to pay all those big names from Skull Island to come back.
Yeah.
This would have been an expensive movie if you had to pay all those people from the Godzilla movies.
I think your mic came undid. Yeah, there we go. I'm impressed by how quickly your mic syncs up when you plug it in.
What happens is I play with the cord right here, and so it just comes a little unplugged.
You're fiddling. But yeah, that being said, it would be awesome to see John C. Reilly and Tom Hiddleston.
Can you imagine all the cast from all these movies, at least playing some role? It'd probably be a cluster of too many things happening, but it'd be cool.
Absolutely.
As a big finale, as their end game.
So let me kind of parse this out. What gets this started is Godzilla attacks. Oh God, what's the name of this freaking company? Apex. Yeah.
Yeah.
He attacks Apex and kills a bunch of people.
Robotics, something like that. Apex Robotics.
It's not really clear. He just kind of blows it up and leaves.
It's very unclear what's going on here.
Yeah, very unclear.
There's this podcast guy trying to find some info.
Yeah, podcaster. Was it Titan Truther or something like that? I don't know. He's like undercover.
Like, yeah, that's
there.
Us.
Yay, podcasters as main characters. Way better than
truthers.
Way better than the main character of say Tusk. Anyways, yeah, and so there's kind of this honestly, this side of things is the most confusing to me. Like I had a hard time kind of connecting with this team, even though I like these actors a lot. Like I think like these are kind of the best actors doing the least interesting things.
It seems very different, the Millie Bobby Brown character that we have in this movie, than the one in King of Monsters. It just felt very different. It was like, what is she doing? Because I don't know, she just seems different. Like, I don't know, the reasons she's doing what she does seem different from that movie to me.
Is that strange thing you do when like the character is defined entirely by her relationship with her parents, and so it's all like mom, dad, just throughout the entire movie, and so now when she has to do things on her own separate from her dad, it's like it feels like a reinvention. It really does.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's a strange dynamic between like humans trying to defend themselves and humans trying to defend the monsters, and humans trying to stop other humans from damaging, killing the monsters or whatever. Yeah. It's just this weird dynamic where it feels like some people's things are motivated by one part of that, and then they kind of change to another part. It's like, wait, what? Like even the guy Bernie that we're introduced here, it's like, I'm not sure what I exactly think he's trying to do, especially at this point. It's like, he obviously wants to find out the truth, but like, what is the motivation behind finding out the truth? Is it because he thinks that he can stop them to keep Godzilla from getting killed, or Kong? Like, that's very unclear to me from his show. Mm-hmm. It's almost just like he's pursuing knowledge just for knowledge. Maybe that's all it is.
It's hard to kind of be invested when it's just they're hiding something, and neither he or you, the audience member, has any idea what it could be, you know? And so you're just like, okay, I wonder what they're going to find. And there's no like real investment into that. So you're kind of stumbling through the dark with them.
Yeah.
And so, I don't really understand. Okay. For some reason, so there wasn't really a relationship. There's not like, so we have a character in this movie who's like Kong's best friend. They're pal-a-roonies, love each other, great stuff. I never really got the feeling in the original that Madison like had
Gia, I guess.
What?
Gia is the little girl who's like Kong's best friend.
Yeah.
Jia.
Gia, thank you. I never got the feeling that Madison in King of Monsters had any sort of like attachment to to Godzilla. You know, it was just in this one, they're like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was such a weird thing. It's like, is she trying to defend Godzilla?
She just loves Godzilla now. She loves Godzilla.
It's strange.
She's like, Dad, Godzilla's acting weird. We got to find out why.
Yeah. I don't know. As much as I like Godzilla, I don't like that whole thing as much. The like whining about, oh no, you're trying to, I don't, you know, let's just get into it. I've been holding this back, Jordan.
Here it comes.
The whole premise that Apex is creating, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't get into it yet.
All right.
Basically the ending of the movie, but
I feel it building up inside of you. We will get there.
There's a big thing that it's like, I'm not just talking about the ending of the movie, but it like kind of has,
it informs your feelings for everything that came before it, right?
It's kind of a theme throughout the movie, and it's the idea that to even think that you need to stop the monsters is somehow evil. That has always bothered me with all these movies. It's like, you're not evil if you're trying to stop these giant monsters that will destroy like cities. It's just a matter of fact. Like, it doesn't matter if they're friends to humans or not. Like, they're gonna do damage. That's just how it is. And so the idea to have a like way of stopping them, through all these movies, I'll just generalize instead of being specific to this movie. I've never liked that the enemies have always been like, demonized because they're like, we should make sure humans are safe. It's like, no, that's a really good idea. Like, you as the good guy should probably want them to not kill Godzilla, but also like, maybe we should have a plan B. Maybe we should have, the nuke button or whatever. Like, we should have a way of being able to defend our planet. So
yeah,
I've never liked that.
There were some talks, I think, early on, and maybe some discussion about possibly blending in. I don't think this could have worked because the universes are too different. Maybe possibly bringing in some Pacific Rim, like stuff into like the Jaegers. Could be like the Dawn of the Jaeger or whatever, to have like, this is the man-made defense and this is it. But no, they end up doing.
Just stop demonizing them. I don't like that. There needs to be another like thing that is the reason you don't like the bad guy.
He's smarmy, like Luke. He's cocky. That's pretty much
That's it. That's all you need to know, Luke.
Isn't that really the only bad thing this person does? Is be a little smarmy.
Basically.
Yeah, he never kills anyone really, and he doesn't really do anything that bad. And I don't know. We'll get into it. Oh boy. So yeah, while they're doing that, we're getting like Apex is meeting with Alexander Skarsgård's character, Nathan, which I gotta say, this is, for good or ill, I don't know, but this is definitely a different turn for Alexander Skarsgård. He is always either like the hero character or like this villainous mustache twirly guy. Basically what we saw in The Stand. He's almost always that. He was that in True Blood. We've seen that time and time again with him, but it's really strange to see him as a scientist, non-machismo.
Kind of like this guy, honestly.
Yeah, it's very different for Alexander Skarsgård, and I think probably different for this franchise too, to see this kind of non-military.
I think this is my favorite part of this whole movie. I'll say that. The whole Hollow Earth thing, that the thing that Nathan, the character in the movie, like wrote the book about, and then the reason Walter, wants him to move Kong and then find the Hollow Earth. I actually really like this. This is like, yeah, this is probably one of the reasons I enjoyed this movie the most. I like this idea. I like that this is powering like a lot of what's going on in this movie. I think it's pretty cool.
Good. And you know what? You know what else? They've been building to this ever since Kong Skull Island. Like Kong Skull Island, King of Monsters, and they all talk about the Hollow Earth. And so this is something they've been building towards. And so this is the payoff, and they do it. They go into it and they pay off that idea that they're teasing with the Hollow Earth theory. If I'm not I am kind of confused though. So there's talk about how Alexander Skarsgård's brother tried to get into the Hollow Earth and they did it wrong somehow, and he got crushed. He got smushed by just, I guess, gravity or whatever really it is.
He just didn't understand. I think he didn't understand what was going to happen.
I was under,
and I don't understand what happened. Does anybody?
No.
This warping thing that he go through?
No.
You're going to go 1,000 miles in 5 seconds.
Your intestines are going to go through your stomach or whatever. But I was under the impression,
and then you'll die.
Yeah, exactly. I was under the impression that in Godzilla King of Monsters, I thought we already went there. Like at first I was like, what's the big deal? We already went to Hollow Earth. That's where Kong was recharging with the nuclear warhead or whatever, and where Atlantis was. They were like, they don't ever say Atlantis, but it was deeply implied. That's what I thought. But now seeing this, I'm like, well, that's not what I saw. So maybe it was like a weird in between thing.
I thought it was like down in a trench or something where he recharged.
Maybe that was it. Maybe because there was so much talk about Hollow Earth, I maybe made some assumptions there. But no, we do Hollow Earth proper.
I just thought of something that at the end of this movie, I'm going to make fun of it for doing something because of what we're talking about.
I mean, okay. So the plan is
we go there.
We'll go. Yeah, we go there. The plan is, okay, so Apex, they have the machine to get there, and Nathan has the idea.
The anti-gravity engine.
Yeah.
Whatever the heck that is.
The anti-gravity equation. Sorry. And
powered by antimatter.
Yeah. And Nathan has the idea that these are where Titans come from. So we need a Titan to get there. And I know just the one.
Not a terrible idea.
Yeah, I've seen this before. This has been a thing. I can't really cite it, but that felt like a familiar plot.
Put that
works.
dog on the scent and then follow him.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what else used this. They like tied an alien to something and it like led them there. I don't know. It's a common thing. But anyways, Kong is going to get them to the center of the earth, the hollow earth. And we find out that on Skull Island, Kong's being like kept in some bio chamber that like...
we are skipping around. Yep.
What am I missing here?
We do.
What have I skipped?
Yeah, I mean, we found that out. Now we're kind of going back, but yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, they feel that Godzilla will feel the presence of. I don't follow the logic, but okay, whatever. I don't understand why they wouldn't have fought before. He's been on Skull Island this whole time, so why would Godzilla not have been upset back when it was King of Monster time? But
yeah, you feel like he'd be making his way over there.
All of a sudden, he's aware that Kong exists, and they have to hide him, which seems like such a ridiculous idea. Like, Kong couldn't just rip his way out of there. There's no way they could contain him.
No.
There's just no way. Especially the... can we say, from the trailer, we said that he would grow exponentially and become big enough to fight Godzilla? Nope. They don't explain that at all.
Nope.
It's just,
nope.
He's huge. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really...
like we said, he's on this boat, which... I guess it's just the largest boat I've ever heard of, because then he's standing over skyscrapers later in Hong Kong. So it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I was hoping they would say he got zapped by some Godzilla nuclear force and it just like womp, 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 like the friggin' mushroom in Mario. But no, they don't explain it like that at all. So
it makes you feel like there's size inconsistencies here.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's on the boat and then he's standing over skyscrapers. That's, to me, that's like exact comparison. Like, okay, if he's that big, then he wouldn't be able to fit on any boat.
So like you see Godzilla in like say 2014 Godzilla, and if you were said to me that he's big enough to fit on a boat, I would say,
yeah, and then they fight on the boat together.
Way.
Yeah. I don't care what boat you have. It's just there's not a big enough boat that they can both stand there and fight blow for blow. That was a weird thing to me, fighting in the ocean. I didn't like that as much.
It's like...
Felt so unfair to King Kong.
Felt so unfair. I'm like, okay, well, this is definitely Godzilla's domain where he's a very strong swimmer.
Yeah.
And he can just pop out of nowhere. Yeah, that was a losing battle at the beginning for our boy Kong. I liked a few things about it though. I did like him hopping from boat to boat, even though it was ridiculous. Him like kind of jumping boat to boat was just a cool visual.
Yeah. The fight scenes were great.
Yeah,
they were really good.
Something that been pointed out a bunch of times is that there's finally fight scenes during the day here, whereas it's either like red smoke or nighttime in the rain. This is like the first one. Minus, Skull Island, that where Kong or Godzilla is fighting during the freaking daylight. And so that's nice to see.
And these visual effects looked really good.
Look great.
I was very impressed.
Yeah, saying that, I mean, that's a highlight of this entire series, I think. I think the visual effects all around are nothing to complain about. Even 2014, where I'm like, this is older, but this looks great. And so, yeah.
It was something we were complaining about in Wonder Woman, and I wouldn't say I saw any of the things that I had problems with in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Specifically in this movie, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I'm watching it on Chromecast, so it looked great. Looked great, 4K. Didn't have any of the problems with HBO Max on the PS5 streaming it. It looked great. No complaints there.
And It did look good.
Yeah, so I was able to appreciate the visual effects here. But yeah, great fight scenes here on the boat. Thought it looked really cool. A lot of good tension there, because just having this monkey on a boat, there's some tension there, which I do like. There's like definitely a fear. Kong's gonna drown because the audience, you're rooting for Kong. They've kind of set Godzilla up to be the antagonist in this one, so you're rooting for Kong pretty much the whole
Kind of
way
out of
through.
nowhere too, and there's not a lot of justification for it. It's just like you have that what feels like super unprovoked attack right at the beginning of the movie, and then it's like, okay, well, now we know what the dynamic is. So
I was waiting
accept
for it. I was waiting for someone to explain something to me, and me go, "Oh, so that's why." No, it just seems like he's acting more aggro than ever. Like whereas before, Godzilla's been known to just be a balance keeper. He's the one like to keep the balance. Like these Mudos are here destroying the earth.
King of monsters.
He's there to set it right. King of monsters, like Ghidorah. He's not really from Earth. He's not about balance like the other Titans. He's an alien pretty much, and so he's there to stop that bull crap. And so this one, it just seems like Godzilla is just acting more animalistic and less of a protector and more of just like, I'm the boss around these parts or whatever.
Yeah.
And I need to point this out. I do need to point this out. They showed at the beginning of the movie, there's a bit of a montage and like news articles. And they did this weird thing where there was like a tournament bracket with like the other Titans.
Oh, I know.
And I was like, what?
I did not like that.
I didn't understand.
So stupid.
Why did they kill each other?
This is not sports.
Yeah, it's not sports. There wasn't a tournament going on that I didn't know about. This isn't Highlander where they could be only one. I had no idea what this was. The end of King of Monsters, they were bowing to the king. A balance has been restored. All the articles at the end of that movie said, these Titans are good for the planet. These Titans are good for, whatever. They were like, okay, there's balance. But nope, I guess time to have a tournament, I guess. I don't know what that was about. But for some reason, they flipped the script. It's no longer about Titans bringing this balance. It's kind of about like being alpha, I guess.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, that Godzilla's just going to come for him because the rivals? That's something they brought up. They're eternal rivals.
I mean, I don't know what to say. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
They just tell you to accept it. It's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. But, there is something good about that I do kind of like, even though it is kind of weird because you're watching the fight in the water knowing that it's a losing battle for Kong. There is some tension there because you're rooting for Kong and you're like, Kong could drown. And there's some good
And plus all
there.
The people. It's like,
yeah,
are all the people going to drown too?
They get into that like little closet and I'm like, idiots. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
In a boat? No, I don't think so.
Let's get out the life preservers.
Exactly. I don't know. Get on the edge with a life preserver. Exactly.
I feel like you had to know that it was coming too. It's like, what was your plan? Like, obviously Godzilla is going to find you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like there would have been a better way. Find some way to fly him there.
Exactly. But yeah, Godzilla whoops him, and there's a really dumb reason why Godzilla decides to walk away. They're like, cut your engines, everybody, turn off the power, cut your engines. He'll what will he think? Yeah,
I guess it's just submissive. But
submissive.
What can I say?
I can buy that. Yeah, because like he knows you're there. He rises out of the ocean and stares Kong down in his eyes, and he just kind of walks away. I mean
that kind of. That ties into why was he even fighting him in the beginning, right?
Exactly.
Like, why is this even happening? So I guess submissive is like, okay, I won. I don't know.
Is that like what life has to be after this? Is like anytime Godzilla's doing anything, King Kong's doing anything, Godzilla will come around and fight him, and he'll have to submit like once again. Is that just a thing that's gonna happen now?
Yeah. I keep thinking of things I want to talk about, but it's basically the ending. So,
I mean, a lot of this movie does culminate at the end. There's very much kind of it's an adventure movie, which I do like. That's in the spirit of Kong. We're trying to get to a place, we're trying to leave a place, or something like that. So their adventure to Hollow Earth, I do find that intriguing. And Godzilla's kind of out of the movie at this point. There's not really much Godzilla to speak of. from this
I just
point
really
until the end.
liked this idea for some reason. I just really liked the way they did it, and the gravity thing. It's just, oh,
Yeah.
so cool to me. I've always, to me, this, I guess because it feels like the movie goes more sci-fi at this moment. I guess that's why I like it. I'm just such a sci-fi nerd. It just leans into science and stuff. It's like, what would an actual Hollow Earth look like?
Well, let's get there. It's not really
crazy idea.
There's not too much in between that fight and us getting to Hollow Earth. I mean, really, there's just a lot of more wandering around for Team Godzilla. They're just wandering around Apex and kind of goofing here and there. Not really much that stood out to me for those people really to talk about until we get to kind of the end there when they had.
And this is about the time when kind of the storylines start to collide somewhat.
Yeah.
Because, Nathan and Eileen and Maya, all these people, they've all been sent by Walter, who is the brain behind everything that with the podcast guy Bernie and Madison, why they're all there. So it all kind of comes colliding together kind of around this point in the movie. It's like they're just in two different places, but like their storylines are starting to come together.
That, which is good. That's good. You want them to all intersect, and they do. So something that I do like, and I feel like from now on, I will say this, the fact that we're doing new stuff with King Kong that I've never seen before in a Kong movie, and that's great. First of all, sign language. I thought, like, for some reason, I did not think of that, and I thought I was genius. When it happened, I was like, oh, my genius may be a lot. But when it happened, it just, like, clicked. I was like, oh, my God. That's awesome. Like when he actually signed.
They've never done that, huh?
They've never done that, to my knowledge, where Kong signs and they taught Kong sign language. And that was just a cool moment where he signs. I can't
believe they've never done that.
I actually kind of rose in my seat. I was like, whoa, it was really neat. And so, yeah, that's how they convince him to go into the hole they want him to get to go to, home. It's kind of weird. They frame it in a strange way, almost like, because they're like, tell him your family's down there. I thought that was going to lead to something. I thought I was going to be like, I don't want to lie to him or something like that, but
kind of hoping it would.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Ended up being
the
like
other Kongs are down here.
Yeah. It ended up being like kind of a truth. It wasn't like her lying to Kong to trick him to go down there. It ended up being kind of true. I mean, really.
Yeah. So like, what do you think about the whole, like, the axe was in the skull of like another monster? Like, does that mean that there was a Kong down there before that defeated another monster?
I have to.
That's what I was assuming.
Have to imagine that. I mean,
but then you never saw like an ape skull or something. Which I really thought we were going to.
From like what I can tell, it just seems like it kind of doesn't really explain how the monsters in Hollow Earth kind of relate to the monsters that are outside, like, in Earth proper, like,
I thought they were kind of saying that all of them originated there and then made their way to the surface for reasons.
Yeah, if that's the case, that I'm fine with that, because it's not like you saw a bunch of Godzillas or a bunch of Kongs down there, and it's not like this is, but like at the end, Kong makes it his home. Like, this is where I'm staying. Like, and so it kind of makes me think, like, how does that relate to Kong? Do they like all go down there and hang out and then go up to Earth when necessary? Or I don't really.
Well, in the other movies, didn't they say there were reasons that drove them out? Or maybe I'm thinking of Pacific Rim.
Maybe, but maybe there was some sort of conflict that drove them out and that left some of them to go out into Earth proper.
Well, King of Monsters, they talked about something like that, didn't they?
I think so. There was a lot of stuff talked about.
Godzilla was awakening them or something. I can't remember what the reason they gave. That movie was full of craziness.
It's strange because they seem to come from like natural places. Like Rodan comes from a volcano. Maybe that's a hole to Hollow Earth. I don't know. And one of the other Titans, I don't know if that's supposed to be Gamera or something, but comes from like a mountain. And so it's like almost like there's these legendary earthly beings.
He is the mountain.
Exactly. Right? He's the mountain. Exactly. There's a boss.
Mothra was like underneath a waterfall.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that, almost like they're these earthly legendary beings. But now it's like are they otherworldly, meaning like from Hollow Earth?
I wonder if that's from the old movies.
I don't know.
I don't know my kaiju history enough.
From what I always understood is that they're more along the lines of what we were saying before, like they're like earthly beings. I mean, Godzilla wasn't a titan that was like around before the dinosaurs. Godzilla was created by man with the nuclear war, with the nuclear bomb. And there's various explanations for other kaijus, but yeah, I think Hollow Earth is more or less new to this franchise specifically, which honestly I like. Do something new. I'm completely fine with that. Having a new origins for these monsters, it doesn't really matter too much. Just give us something interesting.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't make any sense that a Hollow Earth would have sky and light and
yeah, you're right.
rain and trees, and none of that makes any sense. But I really like that idea.
Very cool.
A cool idea. If there was some explanation for there's some mini sun down there, that would be cool. But
maybe the core of the Earth. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it would shine like a sun, but yeah, they didn't even explain that at all.
I don't know. That being said, it's cool. There's something weird and fun to me seeing Godzilla. I keep doing this to see Kong in this environment. It just, again, it's something new that we haven't seen. It's something way more out there than we've ever seen with Kong. He's usually fighting a dinosaur, climbing a skyscraper. And so it's cool to see him in this like really otherworldly environment, falling into like a wormhole or whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's neat. There's something real novel about it that I enjoy. It's just
definitely
cool to see them do something new with Kong, because it's been so rarely done where there's something new with Kong.
It's something we didn't know they were going to do too, and it was just like, cool, this is neat.
Not in the trailers, which I appreciate. I appreciate them not showing everything in the trailers for this movie. Good job. We talk about that a lot. Might be worth mentioning. Well done. Thank you for not showing us the movie in this.
Oh yeah, happens way too often.
Absolutely. And so yeah, it was a nice treat. And there's like, he has a little mini fight with one of the Hollow Earth monsters, some flying serpent kind of thing, which is cool. And here we get like kind of where it all comes together, right? They spend a little time in Hollow Earth, basically just getting to this giant like castle kind of thing.
Castle carved into a mountain.
Yeah, it's where his people seem to come from.
The gravity thing, I think, was one of the coolest scenes.
Yeah,
when he like switches sides of the earth. That was just so cool to me.
Very cool visual.
Why has there not been a movie about that? Like a sci-fi movie about that? Like not a kaiju movie, but like I don't know. Why hasn't there ever been that? There's literally no movie that I know of, at least, it's done that. Just such an original idea.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, but
no,
it'd be cool if there was some sci-fi movie that gave some crazy explanation that made no sense either, but it was just a cool idea.
Definitely. It's cool visual. It's a lot of fun to see. And yeah, they play around with it a little bit. So that's great visual design here. So yeah, I kind of forget at this point because we keep cutting back to Team Godzilla as they're over at Apex. At this point, they're kind of discovering what the big bad is, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Which I like this little cohesive tissue with Kong Skull Island is they're testing their new creation. We'll say, go ahead and say Mecha Godzilla. Yeah. Oh, we're in spoiler section. They're having him battle skull crawlers, which is pretty cool. Just to have a throwback to the monster that's in Skull Island.
That's only a few of the sample we have, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this might be a good time to talk about Mechagodzilla and how he works. Just how he works, right? Because I got some questions.
Please explain, Jordan. I need to know.
No, you have come.
You who know it all.
To the wrong podcaster, buddy. This is not a conception I've ever seen. This is never how Mechagodzilla works, which I don't care. It's always silly. This is going to be silly, but I'm just trying to understand it, okay?
Yeah. So, yeah.
In the post-credit scene,
there's so many reasons why this doesn't work. It's like, why in the world would some man-made cybernetic? First of all, when they show it, it doesn't look that big. It doesn't look nearly as big as when it busts out of the mountain.
Yeah.
So that part I didn't get at all either. But why would those man-made cybernetics be strong enough to withstand all the crap that Godzilla and King Kong throw at it, and then be like clearly a dominant like creature, whatever you want to call it, robot?
I don't understand anything about Mechagodzilla, so there's that.
And I also, to me, the only way I justified it was that, so they're using it's Ghidorah, right?
That's how you pronounce it. In the post-credit scene of King of Monsters, they showed that there was one of the heads of Ghidorah was left, and like the brokered it off to, I guess, Apex.
So when they show it, it's just the skull.
It's just the skull.
There's no brain. There's no more tissue left in this movie. What they show is just the skull. Somehow they're tapped into the bone tissue, the marrow. I don't know what they're tapped into. And it's a supercomputer. What? That didn't make a lot of sense. So I'm assuming that somehow Ghidorah's spirit, brain, whatever, is somehow inside of this thing, and it has become aware and taken over Mechagodzilla, right?
Luke, this is the most nonsensical, insane thing this franchise has done by a mile. I do not understand. What you said is as good as anything that I got.
Is that what you assumed when you saw it?
Yes, that's what I assumed. I don't understand.
I like the Mechagodzilla idea. It made sense that there would, because we had talked about before in the trailers, like there must be something that they end up fighting, and it's kind of the only thing they haven't done at this point, because Ghidorah had his time in the sun and King of Monsters. And
these are the two big bads, Mechagodzilla and Ghidorah. Those are the two Godzilla big bads that you'd want to see. Okay, so I can fix this, Luke. I can fix this. Here we go. All right. With the cybernetic technology linked up with very advanced AI that Apex has, a computer that's programmed to help the human brain control Mechagodzilla, link up in order to control Mechagodzilla. The AI becomes sentient.
So Vision.
Pretty much. It's like the most like stock kind of evil AI thing of all time.
It's Ultron.
But I understand it.
It's definitely Ultron.
Sense. Yeah, it's Ultron.
Ultron takes over Mechagodzilla.
HAL 2000. It's all of that, but it makes sense. Forget.
Need a suit of armor around the world.
It's like they didn't write this yet, and they wrote the post-credit scene. They're like, oh yeah, we did have to do something with Ghidorah or Ghidorah's head, but I can fix that too.
They didn't have to.
I can fix that too. Don't turn it into a skull. Just keep it preserved. Have the brain still alive. Have it pickled in a pickle jar and have the brain still freaking alive. That would be, I would have zero questions. Now, I would have zero freaking questions. I'd be like, okay, Ghidorah's...
Or have some advanced thing where it's like, we were able to preserve the brain tissue with this magical Apex cybernetic technology, and we have it hooked in, and we've been able to, pulse it and bring parts of it back to life. And this is the fight mechanism inside the brain, and we've been able to synthesize that, and we've injected it into Mechagodzilla, and it's increased our capabilities 300%.
Yes, why? Like, when they were explaining this scene, I was like leaning in, like, eyes.
It's just like, they're just like, I don't know, just get on with it.
Yeah.
Just have them bust out and have them fight.
It didn't have to be this way, but for some reason they said, let's just have a skeleton skull, and they're doing, it makes zero sense.
I think
he's
it could
sitting
have even
inside
been cool
of it.
if Walter had just been a madman and he had been controlling them and been like, I will defeat them myself.
Yeah.
And then he's in there doing it. And then the kids are trying to like fight off security, and they're trying to stop him while King Kong and Godzilla are trying to stop Mechagodzilla. There's like two battles going on at once. Like, we've seen that done before, and that can work. But no, they're just trying to shut down the computer. That may be one of the stupidest parts of this entire movie. When they're trying to shut down the computer and he's telling him, I only took an HTML class. And the other guy's like yelling at him. Those were the stupidest lines. And then the way they shut it down there for a second. Jordan, I was like literally facepalm when he like throws his wife's like whiskey onto the like whatever, the air vent or whatever on the computer. Drink. Like he had this epiphany of this brilliant idea. We're probably skipping ahead here, but it's hard for me to not just be like, what is going on?
The stuff when it comes to Mechagodzilla and how they factor into this is probably the worst stuff in the movie. And we're talking about a lot of it here, but yeah, we've rewritten it 3 times, all 3 of which are infinitely more understandable than what they came up with. Yeah. We like this movie, but what the hell? Honestly, what else can you say about all that stuff? Yeah. But let's get into it. So they get out of Hollow Earth. I was kind of wondering at this point in the movie, like, how are they going to get together? He's all the way in Hollow Earth. How are they going to get back up to they got to fight soon. This movie is almost over.
That was another thing that I was going to mention, the like drilling through the earth with his thing. And then he's able to just Godzilla's able to just drop through it. And then he's just there. So stupid. But this has got to be, this has got to be one of the best fight scenes of any like monster movie. This was just incredible.
100%. This is what we're waiting for. This is
the choreography of the CGI. It was very impressive.
This is the title fight. This is what you want to see. And as far as like movies that we've had where hero versus hero, this puts Batman v Superman as far as the title fight goes to shame. This is what gives you everything you want to see. And all.
And it's a nice long fight.
Exactly.
And the Mechagodzilla stuff, as stupid as it was, it was fun.
It's cool to see him.
It was fun. It was fun to see him team up there at the end, and I thought the whole like zapping him with the ship, that was fine. That was a good idea.
The throwback to the original Godzilla versus Kong when they're in suits. King Kong is like powered by electricity and like gets recharged by electricity. So that's a fun throwback to that old campy movie. But it's a great fight. It has pretty much everything you'd want from a fight like this, and as a lot of people have mentioned, it's very unique when it comes to these versus movies because they always end in some sort of draw and they team up. Generally, that's what happens. But no, Godzilla loses. King Kong loses. God, I keep freaking doing that. King Kong loses. And so,
which he should have. So
it makes all the sense in the world. There's no way in the world he'd be able to defeat Godzilla in any way. I don't care if he has an axe, honestly, which is cool. It's a cool weapon, cool axe. But they team up.
They made a good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. They teamed up to beat Mechagodzilla, which also was very fun to see all the weapons he had and them kind of just taking the task.
There's just certain level of stuff you just have to accept, and
all that stuff. I have no.
They did a fine job with the material that they were working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And how it ends, it's interesting because like they beat Mechagodzilla and they kind of like have a stare down, and I guess that is Kong submitting, I suppose. He throws down the axe and they part ways.
Like, we can be buds.
We can be buds or at least coexist on this earth, sort of, because Kong moves locations. No longer a resident of Skull Island. He is now a member of the Hollow Earth community.
Yep. I thought that was really cool. It was what I thought they should have done. It just was like, okay, we've done something with with King Kong. We've moved his story forward. We've enhanced the lore, and it was good.
I wish they did one thing though. In the end of every single one of these movies, they kind of have either a montage or a thing going along with the credits that helps you understand what the state of the world is now. Like whether through newspaper clips or like news footage. I kind of wish they did that because I was kind of like, well, what's going to happen now? Or like, what are we to feel at the end of this as to how this was resolved? But I guess that's not what they really wanted to do, I suppose. But it being potentially the last one, it kind of made me think that, I don't know. But anyways, so last thing I want to kind of bring up as far as what I have to say about this, what I was kind of saving was, I think these movies work best on second viewing at home, not paying attention too much, because I think like a lot of these movies, kids grow up with them, enjoyed the crap out of them. What they did, I think how they were able to do that, monsters fight. Okay. Sit down, kind of play with your toys, bang your Godzilla toy into a Mecha Godzilla, whatever. And yeah, and it is what it is. And then look up when a cool monster fight's happening. Go, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I watched Godzilla King of Monsters. And I enjoyed it infinitely better when a whole weird subplot was going on. I'd be kind of like chilling on my phone, doing some stuff. Amber was playing some Switch, and then a monster fight would come on and be like, I'd rise to attention and be like, whoa. And I feel like these movies will probably live on fonder in people's minds over time. Even though I feel like they're solid movies, I feel like that's kind of how they're meant to be. And even though they're big, giant, and look awesome on the big screen, I think at home is kind of a more optimal viewing experience. That being said.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we said, it is the material it is. And I mean, it's a lot of fun. So I agree. I think, like we said, there's solid movies, and I don't know. It's these kind of things have never been modernized and had this kind of budget thrown at them until now. And so, you don't really have anything to compare. I mean, there's been some Godzilla movies before this, and we had the Peter Jackson King Kong before this, and there were good things about those movies, but this has definitely been like the premium treatment, and I think it's a good first time at it. I think I can see this probably getting a reboot or something in 5-10 years from now, and somebody wants to do some new spin on it. And I could see some art house version of this maybe doing something really cool, but it's going to take some very original thinking, I think, to do something super interesting with this. But until we get that, I think this is solid.
I'm satisfied with this. I'm satisfied ending here. I'm satisfied with what they've given us. There's a campaign going on, continue the Monsterverse. I'm not really sure what else they can do. I feel like this is kind of it.
I think on paper, people say that kind of thing because they're enjoying this movie now, but these kind of things get stale pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I'd hate for them to make sequels, and then it's just like, well, that one wasn't great, and then that one was terrible, and then, it's just, you don't like ending that way. You like ending on, it's like a good, solid, we'll go our ways, you go your way.
Exactly.
Kind of thing,
Here it is.
See each other
buy
down
the box
dusty
set
path at some point.
Absolutely. Well, good job, guys. You did it.
Yeah. It's a good start for HBO, It's a good, pick yourself up after Wonder Woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back in a few weeks.
We'll see how that goes.
Exactly. We'll be back, and maybe we'll even see it in theaters.
17th?
The 23rd.
Am I remembering right?
It got moved.
23rd.
It's on the 23rd. So we'll be there. And so looking forward to it. Well, Luke, it's been fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Yep. See ya.